It's your girl Chalalu back with another video. I know it's been a while, but I'm really trying to get back into the YouTube groove, and I just been inspired recently by my travels. So I was like, you know what, let's revamp my YouTube. Let me talk about something that I'm actually interested in, that's part of my self-care, that really keep me going, and I could put other people on just for my honest reviews. I am not sugarcoating nothing. These countries I've been to, I mean, they just piling up. They just piling up. So I would be doing a disservice, of not sharing this information to, especially the community. So I just came back from the Dominican Republic, and y'all, this is a place that has been on my list for a while. After I hit Jamaica, I was like telling my girlfriend, I was like, oh, we gotta go to DR. Oh my goodness, for the culture. I'm one of those travelers. Like, I like to go places for the cultural experience. I want to be around the locals. I want to see how the locals interact. I want to taste the authentic food. I want to go off the resort at least one time, you know? So we did that, and we saw the beaches. We had a really great itinerary. We went to the market for a little bit. We got a little massage on the side. Like, we did mingle enough with the locals for me to feel like I can give a valid review to you guys. So we stayed for 4 days. 5 days, 4 nights at the Bahia, Principe, Punta, Cana, Grand. That was our resort. We chose that one because it was budget friendly. It was off the beach. It was around enough things for us to travel around Punta Cana easily. So yeah, we went ahead and booked it, and I feel like the disappointment started there. Let's just say immediately once we came off the plane, we flew Spirit, which was another budget-friendly option for us. I recommend do carry-on anytime you fly Spirit, just in case you might miss your layover, looking for your bags and stuff. I have experienced that, and I do want to share with you guys. All throughout the video, I'm gonna be giving recommendations, so just tick them off, okay? Just tick them off, take notes. So yes, we flew Spirit, and we learned at the airport as well. We was learning lessons all trip, but the first lesson was to fly in early. Do an early flight to the Dominican Republic, especially if you fly during these popular beautiful weather times. So April, May is most recommended to go to Dominican Republic. The weather, I have to say, was awesome. The beaches was beautiful. So I do recommend to go at this time, but take an early flight, because we stood in customs for 2 hours. 2 hours, because all the planes was landing at the same time. And we had landed for about 4 p.m. So we was in the line till 6 p.m. And then we got through, background and customs, security, all that, and finally could get in the taxi. Then we didn't let that damper the trip. We didn't let that damper the trip at all. We was like, okay, finally, we're here. We're at the resort. Okay, we can relax a little bit. So we get to the desk, the reception desk, trying to check in. For the receptionist to tell us that receptionist said it like this: our room is not ready, and it wasn't meant for you. And I get that us coming to a more of a Latin country, that we was gonna have to speak some kind of Spanish, whether it's broken, translator. And I fully accepted this before I went on the trip. I fully accepted this. So none of this is having to do with the language barrier. I'm not gonna blame it on the language barrier, but I'm just saying that I'm like, in English, this man told us that, and I was just like, what do you mean our room has been given away, or it's not meant for us? we had reserved this a whole week in advance. Me and my girlfriend like, what? We stood in 2 hours customs for you to tell us that we can't check in right now. And so we gave him a chance. He said we could go to the buffet because we was starving at that point. And it was a late flight. We only had ate breakfast. So we was like, okay, when we come back, have our room ready. Please, please. So he did it. He had our room ready. We did appreciate that, but it was just like a little bad taste in the mouth about the resort service. But I'm going to get into that. So this resort, we didn't realize how big it was. It's the type where you got to take golf carts to travel all around it. And they have the concierge. So the guests are not driving the golf carts themselves. It's the concierge taking us around. And the concierge is supposed to like be around, making, their golf cart rounds, picking up people, transporting them at least every 5 minutes, coming up and down the resort. Because it goes all the way to the beach and then it comes all the way to the entrance. And from our villa, we got it near the beach, so it was the longest walk you could really take if you couldn't get a golf cart. About a 20-minute, about like 15-20-minute walk, depending on how fast you walk in. So that kind of like surprised us. I'm not gonna say I'm not an active person, but I was just like, wow, we gonna be putting some steps in this trip if we can't get this golf cart for real. Once we got to the villa, we noticed that there was very poor lighting. I'm talking about the street lights around our villa were broken. Like they was not working. They had a few within our villa, but ultimately, we had to put our flashlights on to get up the stairs. That's another thing this resort doesn't have, elevators. But that's okay, because we stayed at another resort and didn't have elevators in, a third world country as well. So we didn't let that damper it either. We was like, okay, we're not new to this. We can carry these bags. We big swole over here. We big swole, okay? Our concierge was nice enough to stay with us and take our bags up the stairs, and we had our flashlights. So when we get into the room, it's looking a little, I guess, rustic. I think that's the word I want to use. Like I said, it's a budget-friendly resort, so we wasn't expecting no dreams, secrets, but at least a little, like, can I get a solid bed? That's all we was really concerned about, because we've had hard beds and that could mess with our sleep. So that's really, I feel like, all we was concerned about, like just clean sheets, a soft bed, and some Wi-Fi. That's all. And make sure the bathroom is clean, at least decent clean. So, okay, the bathroom was clean, decent. The beds was old though. They was old. They was like those bunk beds that like bouncy, that kind of mattress. Old. But I did sleep, so I have to say it was decent. The sheets was clean. The Wi-Fi was spotty. That's another thing that just dampened the trip, and it just cost more money for us. We was majority on the data, because like you would literally be having to lift your phone up in a corner to get at least 2 bars type deal. Like we in the woods. We was in the boonies or something. Like I just didn't expect that. That was my first time being at an all-inclusive resort and experiencing spotty Wi-Fi. And then us walking in the dark like that, I was like, oh goodness, this is a safety issue as well. So, okay, those were two, there were a couple of things I just listed there, but the big ones was the Wi-Fi and the poor lighting. Another thing we did not like about this resort was the dang mosquitoes. Oh my gosh. I saw a couple when we walked in, but I already made my mind up. I was going to murk them. I was gonna kill them. They was not gonna exist because I don't want them mating and having babies and just calling their friends inside. No, I was already with the towel. Bah, 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 bah. Okay, African with it. Y'all know I'm gonna have African, so I ain't afraid to kill the mosquitoes. We came prepared with the offspring too, but we didn't expect for them to be in our room. We was expecting them to stay at least outside so we can have time to prepare ourselves with the offspring. So all throughout our stay, our 4-day stay, we was battling these mosquitoes. I'm telling you, one night I was in the bathroom about to take my shower, so I'm butt naked, and I got the towel, and my friend's like, "You okay?" I'm over here, like I'm a karate freaking champion up in this head. I learned jiu-jitsu on site. Like, talk to me nice. But I gotta say, they tore me up. They got their licks in, because I had one on my forehead, I had one on my back, I had two on my knees, I had one on my thigh, my back thigh. And my feet, in between the toes. That's the worst. In between the toes, in between the fingers. They got their licks. They did. But they was dead by the end. They was dead. And we did luckily have AC. But it was the type of AC that it will cut off once you open the door. So like I said, this is another budget-friendly option for the resort. So we didn't figure that out because until later, until we kept opening the door. And then we also had to call guest services because we was like, why is the AC not coming back on? And he was like, oh, just open the door. And I was like, dang, this would have been helpful if we got a thorough orientation day one. Another thing we found out is probably day 3 of the resort stay, me and my friend had time to go to the pool bar. This is a resort that it is not all adults. It's not, all adult only. It does have family. So I would say this resort was more family oriented for sure. But they did have still pool bar in the lobby. So they were still adult activities that could be, that you could entertain yourself with on the resort. And so we get to the pool bar, and tell me why they only have beer as an option. I was just, talk about a mood killer. Where, not even a little pina colada, no mixed drinks whatsoever. I ain't see one mixed drink. All they had was wine, juice, water at the buffet. I'm telling you, it was a mood killer. It was a mood killer to swim all the way to the pool bar just for him to be like, only beer. I don't drink beer. I don't. I tasted it one time automatically on site. I just out of my mouth. I can't do it. So we didn't do that. We literally swam back to our freaking chairs and just sat there and just evaluated the whole resort, basically. So for resort, I'm gonna have to say I don't recommend this one. If you want to have a good time in the Dominican Republic, bring your dollars, book with an agent, maybe get yourself a deal that way, because these resorts can get pricey real fast in the Dominican Republic. I didn't realize how expensive the really nice ones are, but I kind of see why it's worth it if you want to have a good time here. So I'm not going to say it deducted a lot of points from our whole experience, but it definitely made us more appreciative of how important having a nice resort is on your vacation. So yeah, I recommend booking somewhere else, going through the Google reviews. Another thing to end off on the resort category of my experience, I'm gonna say about the food at the resort. The food. We like to eat. We like to eat. Okay. So I gotta break it to y'all. The food was mediocre. The buffet, okay. I believe the buffet was open breakfast. Okay, they had a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But we had found ourselves coming back from our excursions and stuff like 3, 4, and the buffet would close at 3 p.m. So we would never really make lunch until our last day. So that's how we made lunch. And so, like, in between that time, we was hungry. We was like, is there any way we could add like another reservation at a restaurant in the meantime before the buffet opens? We understand. Well, we found out shortly before we came to the resort, that we only had 2 restaurant reservations for our whole 4-day stay. And that's another thing that they be budget friendly about. They will literally not allow you to add another reservation at a restaurant at all. Like, I literally, you gotta go to guest services, make a complaint to even like get another option. They will kick you out if they don't see your name on the list, even though you freaking starving. They was telling us you could either like pay for room service in those times or just starve. And that's another thing that just left a bad taste in my mouth. And we was just like, run away. And you're probably asking why y'all didn't go to another resort. It was literally probably day 3 of our trip before we really was like, dang, ain't nothing really going for this place but the beach. So we was already too far in. That's what me and my friends said too. So like the food, like I said, was better off the resort, even though that did still cost us more money for not getting all our all-inclusive features. Like, you would think if it's all-inclusive, you would get a lot more food options. And the food itself, the fruit was mediocre. It wasn't as fresh as I would think. We in a tropical environment. I would think the fruit would be fresh. They had a lot of American options in their buffet. I didn't care for them because I see them all back home. So like, I was expecting some like real authentic options in the buffet at all times. Maybe for only lunch, we got to taste the rice, that was authentic, and the plantains. But for most part, I was just like, this ain't good. This is not good. So again, if y'all choose to book this place, just be ready to be limited, even though it's an all-inclusive. I'm going to talk about the service. Yes, the service I kind of touched on it a bit, but I just want to go a little more in detail about the service. So y'all know about the reception desk. He helped. He probably helped the most out of our whole experience, just getting our room, doing your job, basically. I noticed a lot of the people, anytime we did have a question or about, like an orientation of the resort, like when does the buffet open, where is the beach, where is this, da. So questions like that, simple guest questions, they would either like not understand, they would either stare at us, and I know it's a language barrier, so they would either stare at us. They wouldn't even really attempt to get someone, if they didn't know English, they wouldn't even attempt to get someone who does know English. So they would walk away. Like, if they can't answer us, they would just walk away. So we just ran into a lot of unhelpful encounters at this resort. And like I said, I'm not blaming that we come to a Latin country, they don't speak English, but it was a good 90% of them that when we interacted at the resort, they just did not know English at all. Very few words, if they did. And another thing we found just like poor service about was those golf carts. The caddy crew we had to haul them down like we in New York. Like, I ain't never done that before. I ain't never hauled so many little vehicles down like that. Concrete jungle, but it's a tropical paradise. I had culture shock. I had culture shock the whole trip, but I'm gonna go into it some more. So that sucked. That sucked when we was getting passed up by them golf caddies, because they didn't stop. Like, we had to haul them down majority of the time, and if we could get them, most, like, I would say 50% of the time we also had to walk. Just courtesy. Like, I really feel like a lot of the service there just lacked courtesy. That kind of brings me to our itinerary. So day one, when we finally got to our room, we showered, changed, we did Coco Bungo. And Coco Bungo is like one of their most popular touristy spots, areas. It's in downtown Punta Cana. It was I mean, let me give you the tea. Let me give you all the tea. So, with us being held back in customs, we were late to this excursion. We booked through Viter, and that's another one I recommend booking your excursions. Pre-book every trip you make. Every trip, especially Punta Cana. Pre-book as much as you possibly can. Flight, taxi, shuttles, whatever you need to do, pre-book it. So yes, we pre-booked this Coco Bungo excursion, but we was late, and we already knew we was gonna be late because we was held back in customs for that long. We was expected to be on time, of course, if we could have got to the resort at least like within the 30 minutes from landing in the airport, or an hour. But it didn't happen. So after eating and showering, we was like a good, I want to say 2.5 hours late. And so we took a resort taxi there. And the resort taxis, I would say it was the option to take, and I do know that they have Uber, and they also have this other app called InDrive, but I didn't get a chance to really check it out. But I noticed that was one of their local like taxi services as well. But y'all can do y'all research and see if that's something y'all would take advantage of. But I recommend for transportation to either pre-book. There's taxi services on TripAdvisor, or you can do the resort taxi, but they might, charge a bit more than they might charge more than Uber. But we really didn't use Uber for this trip, so I can't really vouch for Uber in Punta Cana at all, for this trip, since we didn't do it. Us arriving late, that was a huge downfall of our experience at Coco Bungo, because once we got there, it was already so packed that we was basically in the hallway, and it's like this big arena of, like, it almost looks like a rave. Like, there's multiple levels, and it's like a big like stadium looking thing, but it's not as big as a stadium, but it's designed like a stadium, like a concert hall. For the culture, I have to say the music, it wasn't diverse. It was not diverse at all. We probably stayed a good 30 minutes because we was getting pushed and shoved so much. Almost got elbowed in the face. Like, my friend, she's shorter than me, to more a little petite. Sam, she was getting pushed around, and I was just like, girl, we should just go ahead and take this L. Basically, take this L that this is a place that you need to show up on time. You might need to get a section if you don't want to get pushed and shoved and have to weave your way through. Yeah, we didn't really enjoy it. It could have been because we came late, but I feel like it probably would have been the same thing of trying to get out, pushing and shoving and stuff. And then the lack of diversity with the music. So the thing with Coco Bungo, or downtown Punta Cana, that same area, is that they have like bars right next to Coco Bungo, and they have little restaurants as well. It kind of looked like an outlet of restaurants. And so we had decided 30 minutes later, we was just like, okay, we'll take that L. We'll just go next door and see how the little restaurant club scene is. So we're literally, vibing to the music, saucing a little bit, looking around, people watching. I people watch sometimes, learn about the people. And like I said, still lacking diversity with the music. So just expect that. Like, expect to expand your Latin palette. Your Latin palette for music. Because that's a majority. I gotta say, I probably only heard one American R&B-ish song. And that was Rihanna. That was that one Rihanna song, for real. So, yeah, learn some Spanish before you come here, because it could help you a lot just with your whole experience. So I think this is the point where the trip was going down for the culture, because not only the music, there was no Afro beats. I was really expecting a little Afro beats, just one or two Burna Boy songs, but no part. Pitbull, I think I heard Pitbull one or two times, but that's it, y'all. But yeah, I didn't realize how much colorism we would experience, especially as African Americans. I kind of like, I was surprised, and I'm a brown skinned girl. I'm on the darker side as well, and I gotta say that they would give you the treatment. You would get it from everybody. But once they hear your accent, your American accent, it's like dollar signs. It's like dollar signs pop up in their eyes. But before that, they'll probably think I'm Haitian or some kind of other African, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's deep rooted, and it's clear, especially when you start looking at the history of the Dominican Republic, how the people treat their own dark-skinned Latinas and Afro-Latinas. It is very sad. And for us to experience that as African Americans, we was real humbled. We was real humbled real fast. And I'm gonna give y'all a couple examples of colorism throughout this video. So if y'all didn't know what colorism is, y'all gonna know by the end of this video. So an example of colorism that happened to me and my friend on the trip, and she as well is a brown skinned girl and dark skin like me, darker on the darker side like me. And we was literally sitting after like trying to do all the saucing. We tired. We was waiting on our shuttle that was arriving like an hour later. Yeah, we was waiting there for at least an hour because we got tired dancing. And we had already ate at the little food court in that same downtown area right next to Coco Bungo. So we sat down and we just talking. We just talking about the night, how it's going. It's literally our first day. And you know how a food court is. You sit down, but there's like trash there already, but those are the only seats available. So we sat there, and that wasn't our food. It's just trash on the table, and we're pretty sure someone's gonna come by shortly and pick it up. So that's exactly what happened. One of the workers came out from the restaurant and was about to pick up the food, but I'm over here looking down at my phone, just about to send like a quick text. And this man literally approaches me and snaps at me. I ain't never in my life been snapped at like that. I was kind of in shock. I couldn't believe this man was like, hey, is that your food? Like in the Spanish though. Comida is trash. Is it trash? And I'm like, aggressive for no reason. I just was, wow, I was baffled. That was the first night, y'all, and it only get worse. It only get worse. Snaps at me. And then shortly before us even sitting down and talking to each other, just trying to like stay in good spirits, that we took the L like Coco Bungo, my friend got it too. So we over here we walked to just a little bit down from the food court. There's this little party going on, and there's another like outdoor event hall basically. I don't know, I shouldn't say hall, but there's an outdoor like concert going on. And we were like, oh, what's going over there? Let's ask if it's like free to get in that area, because it's outdoors, but there's bodyguards like standing at the beginning of it. And so we approached the bodyguard, and but before we approached the bodyguard, we asked if it's free from one of the restaurants near that place. So we got the answer C. So we was like, we already know it's free. So at that point, we approached the bodyguard, and the bodyguard, Spanish speaking, he's looking at us. He looked at me. I'm wearing something that, it had a little cleavage, but my chest was all the way covered. My friend, on the other case, she had a little chest showing, and he turned her around for the chest being out. And we're literally looking past him, and we see white Americans with bikini tops on, and lighter skinned Latinas with bikini tops on. We were like, what you mean? Like, what you mean we can't get in? And since I can't speak too much Spanish, I even get someone by that restaurant that we asked, is it free to get in? I get one of their workers, and I'm like, can you translate for us? Can you translate? What is he trying to tell us? That we can't get in because of her top. And he's like, well, he's basically saying you can't get in for your top, but whatever they say, go. And I'm like, whatever they say, go? Oh my goodness, what have we gotten ourselves into? I mean, this is nightlife, y'all. This is nightlife there for an African-American female. They did not want us to party with them. And that was day one.